Welcome back to another episode of Coach's Corner, this time baseball edition. I'm Jake Lancer with Danny Lynch for HWTV, and today we're here with varsity boys baseball head coach Jared Halpert. The Wolverines are currently nationally ranked and gearing up for an exciting season.
Before we get into the details about your player and team, can you give us background information about yourself, how long you've been coaching at Harvard-Westlake, and where you've coached before?
Oh, man. Yeah, first, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. I'd rather not talk about myself, but okay, if I must. This is my 11th total year, I believe. 7 as the head, and 4 were under Matt LaCour, who started this wonderful program in its run, and should absolutely be recognized as the origin of what is Harvard-Westlake baseball being nationally ranked.
And how do you think this year's team differs from last year, seeing as so many starting players have graduated?
Yeah. Every year is different. A lot of people like to say rebuilding. I think that's pretty disrespectful, actually, to the kids that have been in the program. This year has its own identity. And do you want me to look at you?
Good either way. Yeah.
Look at you. This year has its own identity. These kids are all ready for this. They've been training for this their entire lives. They're happy to represent the school in its successes and have done an amazing job thus far.
And who do you think has stepped into a leadership role, and how do they affect the culture of the team?
Yeah, we did. We lost some really vocal leaders, and replacing a vocal leader can be really difficult. George Cooper, whether I would say anyone wanted him to do it or not, was going to grab the reins of this thing and lead it, along with Christian Becerra as those two staples in the program. And this year was a little different. A lot of guys weren't used to being vocal, maybe leaders on the field in their play and in their actions, but certainly not accustomed to being the voice. And I would say they've collectively very quickly have all come together, this very strong senior group, and done an amazing job of leading the way, both on the field in action and with their voices. So I'd say there's really not one. Jacob has been in share with Jordan around the longest, but Marty Kaplan and Andrew Citron, Toussaint Bythewood, everyone has grabbed this thing and done a great job as far as leadership.
Baseball's such an interesting sport because you're playing teams multiple times in a span of a week. So having such a jam-packed schedule, how is implementing game-to-game adjustments gone so far?
They've gone well, and I would say that is one of our strengths as a program. We've got some very intellectual student athletes that use that to their strength. They're coachable, and we're able to put plans together and make adjustments on the fly. I would definitely say this year so far, it's gone extremely well.
And before you guys start off your series games, your preseason started off pretty well. You went 4-1, and you beat Jay Sarah, who you guys played in the final, only losing to Ukaipa. Ukaipa. What tone do you think that set for the season?
There's hurdles that we talk about that every team needs to face and overcome. I think this team, even before the preseason, if you will, in our winter and our fall, we were able to accomplish some things that I'd say set up our successes right now. They've met those challenges most recently, that Loyola Game 2 series at Loyola, where we give up 6 runs in the first inning and put together some amazing at-bats, and the guys that took the ball to keep it at zeros from the second inning to the 7th inning. These hurdles have been faced and met with just an amazing performance. So, preseason practice, there's a lot of things that prepare them for the year. That 4-1 run, I'd say, was one of them to set us up for success here, but it's been many, many factors.
Yeah, we're definitely going to dive into that Loyola game. Pretty crazy one. Before that, though, a couple weeks ago, you split your season series with Notre Dame 1-1-1 as they look to be your biggest competitor for first place in the Mission League, as of now at least. How does having an early season test like that prepare you for a grueling Mission League season coming ahead?
Yeah. The way the schedule has gone in the last couple of years, we've been able to match up with Notre Dame towards the end of the year, which no disrespect to any other team in the Mission League. They're all extremely tough opponents, well coached and prepared. There's just something a little different about, I don't even know if you could say cross town, right? It's like across the street rivals, that are also one of the top programs in the area. It definitely prepares us for the battles to come. I think both programs would say we wanted that thing to end a little bit differently. I mean, maybe even a loss would have been better than a tie, just so we could wear that scar and kind of use that fuel. So, the 1-1-1 limbo, nobody really knew how to act. Were we supposed to be okay with it? Were we disappointed with it? I know personally we were very disappointed, how that ended. But to your point, we found a way to use that for fuel here, and we're going to hold on to that and try to keep going with that. Yeah.
Now, going into detail about some of your players, I think a lot of people are wondering about Bryce Rayner and how he hasn't been pitching this season, but has been hitting and playing in the field. Can you just speak on that?
Yeah, I can. It's very difficult, and part of our job as coaches, looking after young children here, because that's what they are. They're young men, not fully developed. Winning is certainly something we all like to do, but the overall health and well-being of our kids has to be number one. Bryce is healthy. We had a little bit of a scare, which, we all have scares playing sports competitively. You're always challenging your body. And, for him specifically, and his overall health and future, it just made a ton of sense to slow down on the mound a little bit, ensure his health, and find another way, which, I'd say is probably more amazing than anything is how well the team has just adapted to, hey, we don't have this dragon on the mound, and we're going to have to find a way to get it done without him. And they have, and guys have stepped up. And, there's names that before the season started, I don't know if the community, even as tight as our own, knew some names that have grabbed the ball here in his place and have done such a fantastic job. We're really proud of our kids.
Yeah, to add on to that, even without Duncan or Bryce, the pitching rotation this year, from what I've seen so far at least, is truly special. I mean, how does having a reliable guy on the mound allow you to take more risks in game?
I think regardless, the risks is something that you have to jump into, whether it's Bryce or anyone else, putting pressure on other teams and making things uncomfortable is a part of the game, and you have to do it. To your point, a little bit more, right? We've got to roll the dice, if you will, a little bit more aggressively to put some more runs on the board. But zeros we have found, not surprisingly, but happy to have them. Yeah.
And Toussaint Bythewood, he's had a lot of media attention. He was in the news like a month ago. Can you speak on how he changes the dynamic of your team?
Oh yeah, the middle in this game is extremely important, defensively speaking first, and the speed and defensive reliability that he is in center field, his voice, the way he can and covers ground out there, just makes a huge impact. And it may not necessarily be seen on an every inning platform, but lockdown defender, huge speed, at the top of our lineup, being able to impose some of the things that he can do with a bat, with power, and then on the bases, he's a game changer, and it's been a lot of fun to watch him very quickly grow and develop into the player that he is.
You did an amazing grab. First time you guys took on Loyola. Go to the second time you guys take them on Wednesday. Give up 6 runs in the first inning, as we were talking about earlier. Bases are loaded. You bring in sophomore Jacob Magna. He gets you out of the inning. You guys go on to put up 7 more runs, win the game. You could just talk about what that says about your team and just, I guess, the emotions, the roller coaster of emotions going through that game.
Yeah. We could talk just about that game for the whole time allotted here. And I'm smiling while you're saying those things. One of the, top 5 biggest victories I would say this school for baseball has ever had. To be down that many runs at Loyola, formidable opponent, loads of talent, right? Tons of tradition and history. The battle between Harvard, Westlake, and Loyola. I don't know how many games we've played historically, but probably over 100. To be down 6 runs, for our kids to not panic on any front, and you could really feel that in the dugout, and to exercise what I'm sure every coach says, right? To be able to just try to win each pitch here and give ourselves a chance to come back in the game. Truly a team effort from all fronts, putting forearms on the mound between the 2nd and 7th inning, to scratch back, to use, every facet of our offense that we have, and power and speed and skill. And then our defense to essentially play error-free after that first inning. It was something that I hope these kids and everyone a part of this program can look back on and really reflect on how special that win was. It only being one game, but like I said, one of the greatest wins I think I've ever seen and been a part of on a baseball field. That really was special.
Last question I'll ask about that game. You look at the game on Tuesday, you guys absolutely destroyed Loyola, winning. I'm pretty sure we won by 10 or 11. Don't remember exactly, but what do you think changed going from that game into Wednesday?
As much as I'd like to not acknowledge it as, the head coach of the program, baseball being played as much as it is, it's difficult when you have that margin of victory to show up with the same level of concentration and focus and determination the next day, even though it's a Loyola opponent. And it isn't a disrespect to them. It's simply just, it's not human. It's not human to be able to show up to the yard every single day with that same type of intensity. And, what these kids who are human were able to do was use, right, that fuel of being down 6 runs to propel them into, what you'd hope you'd get to show up with. But, we're humans. We it's tough to show up every day with your best, right? Sometimes you need a kickstart.
Yep. The only thing really not going your way this season is probably injuries, and not too many severe injuries, but just not having everyone available for each game. How's that sort of help the depth of this team grow, and how do you think that'll benefit you guys later on in the season?
Well, it only offers promise, right? Regardless of the end of the year and what that may look like. Giving everyone an opportunity to touch the field and truly feel involved, right, is something that you can't. We can preach it all we want, but unless you're doing it, it's not real. So, having this entire roster of now, I think we've added 5 or 6 names to our varsity roster since the beginning, and having all of them have real influence on the success and the actual hard success of the program, I think, definitely gives promise to, I don't know, I guess the end result here, but.
No, it's a great thing to see, and on other teams you may not see that as much. So just watching your guys go at bat and so many different rotations and so many guys getting to the plate, it's great to see. Sort of to build on to that, my last question would be one thing I've really noticed is the chemistry of the team and how they all really, I guess, like each other, but that's sort of probably not the word to use, but they all really mesh well. Have you seen that also?
Yeah. Every year's different, and when the senior class moves on and we jump back into it the following year, and there's always a grace period for things to happen organically and the relationships have to form. I don't know if they didn't always like each other, but as far as a team is concerned, I don't think they knew how to be, really. And it takes time, and it takes experiences and losses and scars, and and there's been a little bit of crying in our program emotionally from time to time. So it's an organic thing that happens on the field and with how much time these kids are spending. And yes, I think it's actually beyond I really think they love each other, even though they probably wouldn't admit it. When they look back at this team, they're definitely going to reflect and say, yeah, man, we loved each other. We really did.
It's great.
I mean, this whole time I feel like we've been talking about how great this team is, and they're going to be able to do so much this season. So my final question would be, what do you consider a successful season?
Oh, that's really hard. we are a team. This is a game. There's a scoreboard, and we want to win. So on one scale, winning the whole thing and going back and repeating and doing what we were able to do last year. But, as far as success is concerned, I think we've already reached it. As I just alluded to, my job and my number one concern is that we're preparing kids for life. And that's baseball. That's what it's able to offer everyone that's involved in it. It's a vehicle for growth. And have we reached that completely with everyone? I don't know, but I know that this game and this team is positively influencing everyone that's a part of it, and I'm extremely proud of it. And I'd say, on an accomplishment standpoint, we've already reached success.
Coach, we've been talking so much about the phenomenal season so far, and obviously rightly so. We've also talked about the graduating seniors, and just sort of to lead off of that, Wolverines in the MLB and college have just been doing amazing as of late. Can you talk about that and I guess how that makes you proud as someone that's really led them to where they are now?
Yeah. I would never take an ounce of credit. The coaching staff and the adults that have been around the alumni and their parents have done most of this. I've been lucky enough to just kind of stand by and watch, maybe make fun of them along the way. But it really is amazing. The history of the baseball program has certainly had its amazing athletes with Satin and Bosch, two of the professional athletes, Turley, Pfister. The list is actually really impressive. And in the recent future, with obviously the successes of the Flahertys and Giolitos and Freeds and Paps, and now you've got Pete Crow Armstrong, first-round draft pick, who traded to the Cubs, stealing bags and beating the Dodgers. I mean, it really is amazing. But the depth, I'd say entirety recently with our college athletes, this year started and it was like I couldn't get information out fast enough on Twitter. Shrek at Duke and Glob at Wake Forest, and freshmen with Becerra and Cooper at Harvard and Cal, and Biller transferring to LMU and he's hitting home runs. I mean, it's absurd right now. What our alumni are doing. Really proud of it. Like I said, I can't take any credit for it, but I do think it's worth acknowledging, and it's one of the most proudest moments that I've had in reflection of our alumni is they come back to the field in their off seasons or their breaks, their winter breaks, and not only do they just want to come hang out and say hi, but man, they can't wait to jump in with our current and help. Right. And really try to express, hey, like there's a way to do this. This is how we did it. You have to do it this way. And, really challenge the kids. And, one of the things that I'll never put down with the success that Pete is having, and everyone, for the past, I'd say 2 years wants to talk about Pete and how amazing he is. And he is. And he's going to be a big leaguer. And he is such a beautiful human being. If it wasn't for RJ Shrek, who maybe wasn't better at him than anything, but better at him than everything, I don't know if Pete would be Pete. And that's because RJ imposed upon him, hey, man, this is how you do it. And, to see Pete in turn this year come back and impose that upon the next generation of Wolverines, like that's what I'm most proudest about is just to see their tradition and how much these kids love their program and love the school and love winning to give that back. I mean, it's amazing.
Thank you so much for joining us today on your first Coach's Corner. Good luck to you guys. I'm Danny Lynch with Jake Lancer. We'll see you next time on Coach's Corner. Enjoy the game.